road to stardom seldom starts in the Dominican, then on to Fort Osage High School, Maple Woods Community College, and a 13th round selection in the draft. But that's the case for Albert Pujols. He's got pop to all fields, a great eye, a good glove, and the sexiest 5-year stat sheet in Major League history. Throw in a dose of humility and a hard-nosed work ethic, and you have the most productive player in baseball. He and the Cardinals have rolled into town. The I-70 series is next. It's time for Kansas City Royals baseball on the Royals Sports Television Network. And it'll be a reunion for a couple of Royals, including Mark Rudsolonic, the Royals' leading hitter, played for the Cardinals last year, and summer has arrived in Kansas City. A great night to be at the ballpark tonight for the I-70 series. And welcome to Kauffman Stadium. I'm Ryan Lefevre, along with Royals Hall of Famer Paul Splittorff. And Royals have had their troubles on the road. We know all about that. They should get a nice energy boost tonight with a packed ballpark, and the story's been a little different for the Royals this year at Kauffman Stadium.
I really can't believe the difference between what they've done on the road and what they've done at the K. And you look at their record here at Kauffman Stadium, and they're even a .500. They're averaging about 5.5 runs per ball game. The team batting average has been good. The pitching has been steady. This is really the team that we saw in spring training. It's been a different story on the road, as everybody knows, but the Royals are back home. They're here for the next 7 ball games. Hopefully they can keep it home, going here at home, at least in their home uniforms.
And hoping to get a boost as well from a couple of roster moves.
Well, when you lose ball games, there are going to be some changes. Unfortunately for the Royals, Shane Costa gets off that disabled list. He's in the lineup tonight, leading off playing center field. Had a nice hitting streak when he went out in that Oakland series some 3 weeks ago with that hamstring injury. Andres Blanco also joins this team. He comes up from AAA Omaha. Justin Huber back to Omaha. Kerry Robinson designated for assignment. See what happens with them. Justin Huber just didn't get any playing time here at the big league level.
And it appears that Andres Blanco isn't here just to be a backup.
I would think we're probably going to see him sometime here this weekend. I know that Buddy Bell really liked him in spring training. He loves his athleticism. He did make some errors, AAA Omaha, but he's also swinging the bat a lot better than he did last season. We saw him in batting practice. He looked bigger to me than what we saw a year ago. So Andres Blanco going to bring some energy, and Angel Burrow has started every game for the Royals so far this year. Let's see how it works out for the next few days.
And on the topic of energy, on the topic of getting a boost, the Royals could really use that this weekend because Tony La Russa brings another great Cardinals team to Kansas City.
The St. Louis Cardinals, one of the dominant teams in all of baseball, but certainly the National League, and maybe the best all-around player in Albert Pujols. He'll be a big story this weekend because he spent a lot of years here in Kansas City. But you see what the Redbirds have done since the year 2000, the wins that they have racked up, including a couple 100-win seasons. They've been in the postseason 5 out of the last 6 years. They'd love to win the big one. They haven't won the World Series. They're thinking maybe 2006 is the year.
Split, the Royals will be tested right away in this series. They'll face last year's Cy Young winner Chris Carpenter.
And Cardinals people say he's throwing better now than he did last year, even though he only has 3 wins. He hadn't had a lot of run support. I know the Royals want to be aggressive against him here tonight. He's one of those guys, if you get a fastball early in the count, you might want to get after it because once he gets ahead, really goes to work on hitters as far as sinking it away, cutting it inside, and then changing speeds. Mark Redmond, the veteran left-hander, goes for the Royals, still looking for his first win of the season. 2 times out ago against the Chicago White Sox. That was his best start of the year.
And he should be familiar with a lot of the hitters tonight. He was in the National League in 2 of the last 3 years. So big test for the Royals against Chris Carpenter tonight, but Matt Stairs is better than a .400 hitter in his career against Carpenter. The I-70 series begins. Right, absolutely perfect night to be outside and a great night to be at Kauffman Stadium. Temperatures into the low 90s in Kansas City today. It's supposed to remain warm all weekend long. St. Louis Cardinals have the best record in the National League. Tony La Russa in his 11th season is manager of the Cardinals, and here is his starting lineup tonight. Brought to you by Kia Motors. Kia, the power to surprise.
They got a terrific leadoff hitter in David Eckstein. Scott Spezio is a backup player. He'll be their DH tonight, and he'll hit second, followed by Albert Pujols. Scott Rowland, Juan Encarnacion plays right field and hits fifth. Jim Edmonds plays center field, hitting sixth. So Taguchi is their left fielder. Javier Molina is the catcher, hitting eighth. And Hector Luna will get the start at second base today.
And facing Royals left-hander Mark Redmond, who is still in search of Win number 1 with the Royals this year.
Does have one lifetime win against the St. Louis Cardinals. That was when he was a member of the Minnesota Twins. He picked up a win back in July of 2000 against St. Louis. And interleague play, his last start out was Saturday in Baltimore. With 6 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs, was the loser in that one. Opened the season on the disabled list. He didn't make his debut with the Royals until about 2 weeks into the year down in Tampa Bay.
And Redmond and the Royals taking the field. Here's the Royals defense, brought to you by Dodge. Grab life by the horn.
Different look defensively with Shane Costa off the disabled list. He gets the start in center field tonight. He's flanked by Emil Brown in left field, Reggie Sanders in right field. Infield has Doug Mientkiewicz, Mark Redzolanek on the right side of the infield. It's Angel Burroa, Tony Graffinino left side. John Buck will do the catching.
So it'll be Redmond for the Royals, and he's up against last year's Cy Young winner, Chris Carpenter. And while we have a moment, let's check out tonight's pitchers report, brought to you by the DeLusso Deli Company.
Well, you see the 21-5 a season ago and an impressive 2.83 earned run average. So far in 2006, it breaks down like this with that home earned run average of a 1.32, on the road 2.88. 3-5 against the Royals. Of course, the Royals saw him when he was with the Blue Jays. His last win against the Royals was 2001 with the Jays. Royals last saw him with Toronto back in 2002. Outstanding stuff. He's got 4 good pitches. Keeps the ball down with his fastball. Works both sides of the play with it. Got a terrific curveball. Everybody wondering, can he repeat in the Cy Young Award in the National League? He had a great second half last year.
DeLusso Deli products available at Hy-Vee, the official grocer of RSTN. As you'd expect, a lot of red with the folks coming west from St. Louis, but we can fix that.
I like it.
How about that? And you don't need to adjust your television screen.
We'll do it for you.
So big crowds expected tonight, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So Mark Redmond will see David Eckstein, Scott Spezio, and Albert Pujols. Redmond allowed 5 runs in 6 1/3 innings in a loss on Saturday. Royals ended up losing that game 11-1. Down and in, ball 1 to David Eckstein, who's always hit well here, whether a member of the Cardinals or with the Angels. "89 degrees at Kauffman Stadium tonight. What a nice change that is for the Royals after enduring that cold, rainy series in Cleveland. It was just in the low 50s yesterday. On the ground to Redzolanek. Eckstein's double play partner from last year, 1 away.
Royals missed a lot of their field work before the start of the ball games in Cleveland. You mentioned the cold temperatures yesterday. Fought the raindrops really the first 3 days of that series. So good to get back home. Early work here this afternoon for the pitchers as they get ready for road interleague play, and also some extra hitting practice today for the regulars and the backups.
And now Scott Spezio is first year with the Cardinals, and like David Eckstein, had some good years with the Angels and then had 2 horrible seasons with the Seattle Mariners.
Spezio brought into the Cardinals as a backup at third base. Scott Rowland is coming back from shoulder surgery. Also able to back up at first base should they decide to give Albert Pujols a day or 2 off. Switch hitter. Always thought he was better from the other side of the plate, but the numbers will tell you he's a better right-handed hitter so far this year.
Right to Redzolanek again. The Royals have him positioned perfectly tonight. 2 down. And now with Barry Bonds dealing with a sore knee and not 100%, this might be the best player in the game. Most valuable player in the National League last season. Also won a batting title. Although Pujols steps in tonight 0 for his last 12. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You figure a guy like him is going to get his hits eventually.
comparisons are made with Pujols and Bonds in San Francisco as far as their ability to take over a ball game. Bond's going to get a break for the next few days. They're playing on the road in Oakland, so he'll be able to DH for the Giants.
Look at what Albert Pujols has done in his career already. MVP, 2 batting titles, one included a 30-game hitting streak, and he was Rookie of the Year. Other than that, he's done absolutely nothing for the Cardinals. He has played first base, he's played a little third base, he's played the outfield, he's really settled in at first the past few years.
He's also playing a little bit banged up. He got hurt a couple times this last week, fouling a ball off his front foot. Also took a tumble in rain-soaked infield. Fell on his back over on the warning track.
Redmond goes with the slow curve. Baroa throws him out. And it's a 1-2-3 first inning. Royals coming up again. Cardinals don't get out of the infield in the first inning against Redmond. And now here's the Royals starting lineup. Brought to you by Williams Foods. And you'll find Williams Foods and seasonings at Hy-Vee.
Good to see Shane Costa back in the lineup tonight. He's off the DL before the start of today's game, leading things off playing center field. Then it's Mark Redzolanek, Doug Mankiewicz in the second and third spots. Reggie Sanders, Matt Stairs, Emil Brown hold out the 4, 5, 6 spots in the lineup. Tony Graffinino on. Angel Baroa hits 8th. John Buck does the catching tonight, and he'll hit 9th. Chris Carpenter making his 10th start and appearance of the season. He was the opening day starter for the Cardinals. Second year in a row he's drawn that assignment.
21-5 last year, winning the Cy Young. 1-1 to Shane Costa.
Well, he won the Cy Young Award last year. He was the starter in the All-Star game for the National Leaguers. Pitched 1 inning.
This is a guy who just a few years ago was contemplating quitting the game after having shoulder surgery in 2002. He missed all of 2003. Breaking ball gets the outside corner, so showing Costa a little bit of everything, and Carpenter has a strikeout. Here's the Cardinal defense tonight, brought to you by Dodge.
These guys have struggled a little bit defensively. Of course, they got the Gold Glover Jim Edmonds in center field. Juan Encarnacion plays right field, so Taguchi's their left fielder. Scott Rowland's a Gold Glover at third base. David Eckstein is solid at second base. Hector Luna, terrific range at second base. Albert Pujols, solid fielding first baseman. Yadier Molina, terrific young catcher for the Redbirds.
Now Mark Redzolanek, he had 294 last year for the Cardinals. His only season in St. Louis. Played in 137 games. Hit hard, nice play by Pujols, and he was way off the line and now slides ahead of Redzolanek. And as we showed you at the beginning of the broadcast, Pujols also can flash the leather along with his great hitting skills.
A lot of people that see him on a regular basis say that he will win a Gold Glove one of these days. You see the quickness and the range right there. Now Pujols, big man, very powerful, but 6'3", 225, showing you some quickness, some agility right there.
I bet first base umpire Randy Morris didn't know whether to call safe or out on that play.
Too much dirt flying.
Yeah, usually when a guy slides into the bag. Fumbled by Luna and throws to Pujols. So Carpenter matching Redmond for the 1-2-3 first inning. Second inning as we take a look at tonight's injury report update, brought to you by Menorah Medical Center, your HCA Midwest hospital.
Well, Mike McDougall's been on the disabled list since the start of the season. He got hurt in spring training, a shoulder injury for him. He continues his rehab process as he's now doing live throwing. He's been doing that the last couple of weeks. Did some flat ground work here today. They hopefully get him onto the mound in the next week or 10 days, but they will evaluate him along the way. And we're talking about the earliest possible date that he could be back would maybe be the first week in July.
And the Royals really need him back. Buddy Bell has had to shuffle up the roles in the bullpen, and just a couple of days ago that Buddy moved Ambiorix Burgos out of the closer's role. And if that situation comes up tonight, it'll be Elmer Descends. Redmond worked a 1-2-3 first inning and now jumps ahead of Scott Rowland. Rowland last year had problems with his left shoulder. He had a collision with Hee-Sop Choi of the Dodgers and had surgery twice last season. In fact, one of the surgeries, they inserted 5 screws into his shoulder. That doesn't sound very good.
It was not his throwing shoulder. Instead, it was his left shoulder, but that probably has as much to do with your swing as anything else. That's the lead side, and you pull the bat through with that. So certainly a problem for him. He also missed some time earlier this year. He was out for a couple weeks, late April, early May, lost 10 pounds. He had an upper respiratory virus. I was hoping to keep him healthy from out of the end of the year.
Full count. And we saw that nice play by Pujols at first base in the bottom of the first. And when you want to talk about good plays on defense, Scott Rowland, some people think might be the best of all time defensively at third base.
He's got a half a dozen Gold Gloves on his mantle already. And a terrific offensive producer, signed through the year 2010. Guy knows a little bit about third base. He won a Gold Glove over there.
And a leadoff walk to Rowland. The Cardinals get their first base runner. And now Juan Encarnacion.
Bob McClure still concerned about the pitch counts that the starting pitchers are accumulating through 4 and 5 innings pitched. Still hadn't been able to get many innings out of those starters. Hoping that Redmond can pitch much like he did 2 starts ago. Toes the rubber tonight against St. Louis.
Now, of all the lefties the Royals have, with Jimmy Gobble and Jeremy Offelt, Andrew Sisco, and Mark Redmond, I did not see Bob McClure pitch, but you think Mac is closest in style to the pitcher Mark Redmond is?
Well, Mac didn't throw as many changeups as Redmond did, and he moved the ball around a whole lot better. Different styles, but yeah, as far as a finesse pitcher, one thing about all 4 lefties, all 3 feature different kind of assortments and an array of pitches.
And Redmond gets in on Encarnacion, who flies to center field and 1 away. The next Dodge Buck Night is coming up on this homestand. It's Tuesday when the Royals take on the Detroit Tigers, the big surprise in the American League. And of course, hot dogs, small Pepsis, and peanuts are just $1 each all night long. So don't miss this special weekday edition of Dodge Buck Night coming up on Tuesday. Now the veteran Jim Edmonds, also a big-time Gold Glove winner, won his 8th last year, and I was not here yet, but you probably saw what many regard as the best defensive play ever at this stadium. On the ground to Grutzelanek, Baroa for 1, Minkiewicz for 2. Redmond doing a great job of keeping the ball down. 2 scoreless innings. Make sure and mark your calendars for Royals Alumni Autograph Night. That's coming up during the next homestand, June the 7th, when the Royals take on the Rangers, and some of your favorite former Royals, including Jeff Montgomery, Kevin Seitzer, Brian McRae, Duke Wappen, and others scheduled to sign autographs prior to the June 7th game. For more information, you can visit Royals.com. Ball 1 to Reggie Sanders. Reggie just 2 for 20 during the road trip. And that is foul off the right field line. Sanders did snap a slump yesterday afternoon against the Indians. The Royals were down 6-2. They got 3 in the 7th to get back in the game, and Reggie was right in the middle of that with a 2-run double. That snapped an 0 for 15.
Really interesting to see how teams pitch guys that have spent some time on their roster, because they saw him put up a pretty solid season a year ago when he hit 271 for St. Louis. 21 home runs, 54 RBIs, 14 doubles, so they'll have an idea how to pitch him. I always wonder, okay, what do they know? What did they see with him playing on their ball club every day last year?
I don't think they wanted to do that. But Sanders and the Royals will take it. So that's how the Royals get their first base runner.
Trying to get a curveball down and away from Reggie Sanders, but it got away from Carpenter and flips up there, and Reggie turning out of the way of it, took it on the back of the left shoulder. Carpenter's got a big breaking curveball. That one didn't break at all.
This is the first warm, humid game that the Royals are playing in this year, and the Cardinals, talking to some of their people, they've had awful weather for the most part at home and on the road, which I assume means it's been cold. So what adjustments did you have to make the first time you were dealing with a hot, steamy condition?
Well, most of the position players really liked it because you warm up and you stay loose. You don't have to deal with the cold. As far as a pitcher, the heavy perspiration is something you had to get adjusted to early on. Carpenter going without a long sleeve shirt here tonight, and the sweat used to run down the forearms. Always wore a long sleeve shirt because the wristband served kind of like a sweatband on those sweatshirts, so always wore that. But it was that first time out. It's kind of like if you've gone a long time without working out, and that first workout that you did, how the instant perspiration, I mean, just sweat a lot more heavily than you would in a normal workout. Have to deal with that, but this is the type of weather that players really like. Baseball is meant to be played in the warm weather. These guys have spent a lot of time in the Eastern Division of the National League. They've absolutely dominated that division. Win 11 out of 13 games, so I'm sure they ran into some bad weather back east.
So it might take Carpenter an inning or so to get consistent command of his breaking pitch. Will that be the pitch that'll be most difficult?
It should be easier for him because of the warm weather. That's a touch and a field pitch. You see him wiping off his face right there with his jersey. His hat is already pretty wet with the perspiration. Change shirts after a couple innings. You get your second win. You'll be comfortable the rest of the night, especially with his stuff.
The opposite field, and that's going to roll into the corner. Remember, Sanders has that tight hamstring, so Luis Silverio will hold him at third base. Stairs has a double, so Matty will add to his 400 career average against Carpenter, and the Royals have something going in the second inning.
Well, everybody shades Stairs as a pull hitter. When he comes to the plate, everybody in the ballpark knows that's what he's trying to do. He's going to look for a pitch to pull. He also sees Carpenter go to the outside part of the plate. You see how far Roland is off the bag at third base. That extra base hit for Matt Stairs, his fourth double of the season, also breaks an 0 for 6 stretch for Stairs. Sanders never even thought about going home. Luis Silverio had the stop sign up all the way.
Fouled away by Emil Brown, and here's a bat the Royals really need to get going. Emil Brown hit just 176 on the road trip with a couple of RBIs, and what a great way for Brown and the Royals to get started then if Emil were to come through with 2 in scoring position here tonight. It's that curveball up again. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Chris Carpenter not getting along with that curveball right now. Normally that's a terrific pitch for him. He's always got it at the knees when he's throwing well, so that might be an indication that he's struggling with the feel of that pitch, at least early on here tonight.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Delivered that one a whole lot better, down and away from the right-handed hitter. You make the point of Emil Brown. The Royals really want to get him hot. He had an off day in Cleveland, took him out of the lineup for a night, played Aaron Guile in left field, just trying to break him loose offensively. Has driven in runs in 5 of his last 6 ball games. Barnett has done a lot of extra time with Emil recently.
Just barely got a piece of that. A couple of years ago, Emil Brown nearly made the Cardinals out of spring training, 2004. He had a very solid camp, much like he did with the Royals in 2005. But at the very last moment, at the end of spring training, the Cardinals traded for, was it Cedeno? Roger Cedeno, thank you. And Emil Brown ended up in the minor leagues. There's the GM, Walt Jocketty. He and Tony La Russa have been together for 11 years. That is the third longest general manager combination in the major leagues. And a full count.
Carpenter using the inside corner with that breaking ball. This is another hook right here. Maybe trying to get it down the way, but the fact that he's on that side of the plate so much, maybe he's trying to throw it at the Royal hitters and then trying to break it onto the corner, trying to freeze him with the breaking ball.
And Emil draws a walk. So he had to foul off some tough pitches just to stay alive, but lives long enough to reach first base. And now the Royals have the bases loaded, nobody out.
Got to capitalize on this situation. They give you a couple free base runners with the hit batter and the walk. You can plug a gap here and maybe clear the bases.
Several Royals in the lineup tonight facing Carpenter for the first time ever. Tony Graffinino, one of those hitters. On the ground, and Eckstein will only get one out at second base, so not a best case scenario. Sanders scores to give the Royals a lead, but also not a worst case scenario as the Cardinals could not turn a double play.
Contact real important right here as far as put the ball in play, force the defense to play it. Chance at 2. Eckstein handling the ball flawlessly, getting it to Hector Luna. Graffinino picks up his 11th RBI of the season.
And now Angel Baroa, who also had a rough road trip through Baltimore and Cleveland. It just 208. And he breaks his bat. And Rolen was thinking about coming to the plate, but now has to go to first as he couldn't dig it out of his glove. So not the hardest hit RBIs you'll ever see, but the Royals have scored 2.
Well, Rolen is charging this ball hard, and he's got a good angle to make the throw to the plate, Ryan. That ball sticks right on the end of his glove. He loses his rhythm and timing right there as far as making a tough contested throw to home plate. So knowing that it's still early in the ball game and that's not a necessity, getting the lead base runner, although he would like to have done that. Get a ground ball, make sure you get it out at first. That's a good decision by Rolen right there. He scores from third. The Royals now lead it 2-0.
John Buck takes ball 1, and that's also a reflection of the type of team the Cardinals have. They have the best record in the National League. They have a great offense, and the way they've been going, they'll take that out at first base. Really no reason to panic in the second inning. Two 2-0 on John Buck. Chris Carpenter, growing up in New Hampshire, and was a huge Red Sox fan. Idolized Roger Clemens, and then eventually played with Clemens in Toronto. And that's to the opposite field, and that'll drop. Graffinino to the plate, and he will score, so Buck comes through with a 2-out single. 3-0 Royals.
Brian, this is turning into the kind of inning the Royals had hoped for when they get the bases loaded and nobody out. And how about the 7, 8, and 9 hitters picking up RBIs here in this inning, primarily because they put the ball in play. Graffinino on a ground ball, fielder's choice. Baroa on a ground ball to third. Now a little looping single to right field. Graffinino, one of the better base runners the Royals have on their roster. No problem scoring from second.
And now Shane Costa struck out looking in his first at bat since coming back from the disabled list. Went down on April the 29th with a left hamstring injury. Costa spending most of that time in Arizona rehabbing. He played in a few extended spring training games and then 2 games with Frank White at Double-A Wichita. One ball, 2 strikes.
Royals did okay. They covered this injury as far as the leadoff hitter goes, but I really thought his injury hurt them more on the defensive side of things. I thought there were certainly some misplayed balls in center field. While he's not a center fielder by trade, primarily a corner outfielder coming through the Royals minor league system, he has played pretty well defensively in center field.
And hit up the right field line and foul. I think Costa in spring training this year showing the Royals that he could do a couple of things that they didn't expect him to do. The Royals figured he'd be more of a middle of the order type of a hitter, a corner outfielder. He still might be that someday, but I don't think it was in the plans for him to play some center field and hit at the top of the batting order.
Well, when they made their final roster cuts, and one of the reasons he made the ball club is because he could back up in center field, more so than Reggie Sanders or Emil Brown.
And that's the second time that Costa has buckled in with a curveball. Royals get 3 in the second inning. Those are the parents of our technical director, Richard Harlan, the Rocket, enjoying the I-70 series here tonight. Jim and Dorothy on a warm night in KC. We remind you, you'll get a chance to see the Royals' future coming up on May the 31st and June the 1st. We'll broadcast Wichita Wranglers games here on RSTN. You can check out Alex Gordon, Billy Butler, Chris Lebansky, Mitch Meyer, and others. Kevin Seitzer, Dave Armstrong will broadcast the games May 31st and June 1st right here on RSTN. Two scoreless innings for Mark Redmond. Pitching to So Taguchi. This is a player the Cardinals picked up a few years ago. He was a great defensive player in Japan, a teammate of Ichiro Suzuki's, and some people thought he was better defensively than Suzuki over in Japan, but just very slow to come around with the bat, but getting a little better every year.
Hit a pretty solid 288 for Tony La Russa's ball club a season ago. 21 doubles, a speed guy. They're doing some platooning in left field with Taguchi, the right-handed hitter. John Rodriguez hitting from the left side, getting time as well.
Busy night for Grudzielanek. Needed some help from Minkiewicz on that play. And that's the third, make it 4th time that Grudzielanek has handled the ball tonight.
Cardinals trying to make Grudzielanek an all-star here this evening. Certainly getting plenty of playing time, opportunities at second base. Minkiewicz coming off the bag right there to the home plate side, gives him an opportunity to make that grab and a sweep tag.
And now Yadier Molina. Grudzielanek is still without an error at second base. One of 3 Molinas in the major leagues this year, all catchers. Benji with the Toronto Blue Jays after a long career with the Angels. Jose now with the Angels, and the youngest, Yadier. He was the youngest everyday catcher in the big leagues last season, just 22 years old.
Book on Yadier Molina is that he's maybe a little bit impatient at the plate, so with that in mind, a veteran pitcher like Redmond probably going to give him a lot of off-speed stuff. Benji Molina, the older brother, signed just a 1-year contract this past offseason by the Toronto Blue Jays. That was probably the biggest surprise in the offseason as far as contracts, who they went to. Not only just a 1-year contract, he was one of the last frontline free agents to sign. Kind of dried up on him. Who would have thought of that with so many teams really struggling to find a frontline catcher? I figure that might have been one of the first guys to go.
You always wonder, though, when the team that had the player for a long time and he had a decent career with that team, that you're they're not afraid to let him go.
Well, especially when they've been a winning team. And I figure he's been a big factor in that as far as handling the pitching staff. I haven't seen the Angels yet this year in the regular season. Saw them in spring training, but they're 7 games under 500, 4.5 games off the pace out west.
Baroa on the outfield grass throws out Molina.
Shaded a couple steps to his right, so he had no problem at all getting to this ball. In fact, he gets to it so quickly. Look at the time that he has to set up. Time to set that foot, right himself, get a lot on his throw, and it's not close at first base. No problem at all throwing from the edge of the outfield grass for Baroa.
Now Hector Luna takes strike one. You know, the thing about Baroa, his arm is so strong that he never looks like he's really airing it out. Andres Blanco, who the Royals just called up today, is the exact opposite. Every throw he makes looks like it's a maximum effort. Just an easy, nice, smooth throwing motion for Baroa. Now he has to work up the middle and can't quite get there. And Baroa is about as good as anyone in the league going to his left, but Hector Luna sneaks a ground ball underneath his glove, and the Cardinals have their first hit.
He stayed in the same defensive position on Luna as he did Molina. That was shaded to his right towards the hole. That's why there's so much room up the middle. And while he does have that terrific range, this ball hit the backside of the mound and stayed down, hugged the ground. Probably picked up a little speed when it hit the dirt side of the backside of the mound. Picked up some speed and able to slip on through that infield.
There's Andres Blanco, just called up from AAA Omaha. Royals making a couple of roster moves with Blanco and Costa joining the team. Justin Huber and Kerry Robinson down to the minor leagues. David Eckstein grounded out in the first inning.
3 hits in their ball game yesterday as the Cardinals finished up a 9-game homestand, winning 6, losing 3. Heading out on a 9-game road trip.
You just mentioned the Angels letting Benji Molina get away after some great years with them. People with the Cardinals cannot figure out why the Angels let David Eckstein get away. He has just been a great fit in St. Louis.
Well, they've taken care of some of that. They got him signed up through the year 2007. So he's not going to be getting away from the Cardinals for a while. Stein coming off a 294 season.
It's pretty tough to pitch low to Eckstein. He's just one of those guys that if you watch him at a tryout camp, he's not going to do anything to knock your eyes out, but you put him on the field, he's going to help you win games, helping the Angels win the World Series in '02. Luna has stolen 2 bases this year. He's been caught twice.
Cardinals don't run the bases like a traditional St. Louis Cardinal team does. 16 teams in their league. They rank 11th in the National League in steals. Now, normally the Cardinals, you think of their teams traditionally, would be up among the top 3 or 4 teams in the league in stolen bases. They've got that veteran look to this ball club right now. I mean, Albert Pujols stole 16 bases last year for their club. That was a career high for him. He's got a couple steals this year. Roland's got a pair. Encarnacion, 1 stolen base. Edmonds has 3. But they don't run nearly as much as some of the other National League ball clubs.
Still 2-2 on Eckstein. And certainly not like the Cardinal clubs that Whitey Herzog managed, much along the same lines as the Royals clubs that he managed.
Both those teams played on artificial surfaces in big league ball and big time ballparks with the big dimensions to the fence.
Luna the runner at first with 2 outs. Up the middle, Baroa another chance, and it leads him right to the bag for the force. And 3 scoreless innings turned in by Mark Redmond. Mark Grutzelanek leading off the bottom of the third inning and leading us into our Chevy Stat Track, brought to you by your Kansas City area Chevy dealers and the Chevy Tahoe, the best-selling full-size SUV.
Hey, that's pretty good, interesting news. Hope that holds true over the weekend. 30 lifetime average against St. Louis. That's one of the reasons the Cardinals wanted him last year. Now, that happens quite a bit if a guy's putting up good numbers against you. He looks great against your club, and you end up getting him on your roster. He had a solid year for St. Louis last season.
Could have added to that batting average if not for a great play at first base by Albert Pujols in the first inning on a sharply hit ground ball to the right side. Mike Piazza, by the way, has the best career average against the Cardinals. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Carpenter has struck out 2. He's walked 1. He's hit a batter. He's had some problems with his control. The Royals touched him for 3 runs in the second inning after getting the bases loaded with nobody out. And got him to chase a pitch in the dirt. Strikeout number 3. Come out to the ballpark on Sunday for Slugger Growth Chart Day. Morgan out there showing us the Slugger Growth Chart. That's available to the first 10,000 kids 14 and under, courtesy of Robert's Dairy. Also, get to the ballpark early for Pizza Hut Autograph Afternoon. Select Royals players will sign autographs in the lower seating bowl from 11:30 until noon. Closer look with Slugger's autograph on it. Minkavich into center field for a base hit. He's 1 for 2. So the Royals have a runner at first with 1 out.
Minkavich, solid contact hitter, left center, right center type guy. Likes to work the middle part of the field. You pitch him away, you're pretty much doing him a favor. Lines the ball out over the plate. Not going to hit for a whole lot of power, but he's going to have the ball in play on most nights.
And with Mike Sweeney out, Minkavich has been spending a lot of time in the number 3 position in the lineup, getting in front of Reggie Sanders. Reggie hit by a pitch leading off the second inning and then scored on Graffinino's ground out. Wasn't your typical 3-run rally. Graffinino reaching on a fielder's choice, driving in a run. Baroa grounding out, driving in a run, and then Buck with a soft liner into right field, driving in a run. 0-2 on Sanders. Reggie had that great postseason for St. Louis last year in the first round, the league divisional series against San Diego. 6 RBIs in game 1, and then a league divisional series record 10 RBIs in the series, and that was just in 3 games.
Tony La Russa's club the last 2 years. 105 wins 2 years ago, 100 wins on the button last year. First got to the World Series 2 years ago. Take on the Boston Red Sox.
Last year, after getting past the Padres, knocked out by the Astros, who returned the favor from 2004 when the Cardinals knocked them out. Reggie got a hanging breaking ball and hammers it into deep left center field. Edmonds to the wall, gone for a 2-run home run. And you know that tastes good against your former team. Royals lead 5-0 in the third inning.
Brian, the book on Reggie Sanders says that he kills mistakes. And he just got a mistake curveball right there from Chris Carpenter. Gives up his 7th home run of the season. Look at this ball spinning in the middle part of the plate. And Reggie picks it off about thigh high and bounces right off the front edge of the water display. And carrying it off one of the billboard signs and into the tank.
So 3 more home runs for Reggie to become the 5th player in Major League history with 300 home runs and 300 stolen bases. And now Matt Stairs ahead in the count, 2-0. Stairs part of the 3-run rally in the 2nd inning with a double, and then scoring on Baroa's ground out. Well, the question comes up again, Split, on perhaps the first warm, muggy night for the Cardinals this year. Do you think that has something to do with Carpenter leaving a lot of his curveballs up?
Well, he has made some mistakes with that breaking ball, including the breaking ball that hit Reggie Sanders his first time up.
He throws it right by Stairs, 2-2.
His last time out Sunday against Arizona over in St. Louis, pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 runs in that one. Drew a no decision. In fact, he's had no decisions his last 2 starts.
Last pitched on Sunday against Arizona. The Cardinals lost that game. Carpenter allowed 3 runs in 6 innings, but all of the runs were unearned.
Royals have had pretty good success against Tony La Russa's starter here tonight, but that was back when Carpenter was in the American League with the Toronto Blue Jays. He's changed a whole lot since then. Maybe he hasn't had great command here tonight, but that's really the big turnaround for him as he goes on and wins the Cy Young Award last year. He's just 3-5 against the Royals lifetime, and 3.70 earned run average, but 21-5 last year, 15-5 the year before that.
He walks Stairs, so that's 2 walks for Carpenter, and the Royals with a runner at first and 1 out. There's pitching coach Dave Duncan in the Cardinals dugout, and we're going to talk about him, Slip, because Carpenter was one of those guys who, had good stuff, but maybe hadn't put it together the way the Blue Jays thought he would, being a former first-round pick. But how many guys with good stuff have put it all together once they become involved with Dave Duncan?
Dave Duncan has really been a master of developing a pitching staff. He's been the longtime pitching coach for Tony La Russa, and it's a rarity because he is a catcher turned pitching coach. Usually it's a former pitcher that becomes a pitching coach and instructor, but Dave Duncan, his reputation when he was with the Oakland A's, which is really where Tony La Russa got to know him, was as a catch and throw guy, a defender. Took care of the pitching staff at that time. Had a good reputation amongst the A's pitchers.
Neil Brown almost lost his lips on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Neil walked his first time up.
Most of the pitches that have gotten away on that side of the plate have been the breaking ball. It's the fastball riding inside on Emil.
And again, up and in. 3 balls and no strikes.
You see the perspiration dripping off the bill of the cap of Chris Carpenter here as he leans forward. Just dripping off there. That's a muggy night. More in just the 3rd inning.
Rolling to second base, 1. Luna to first, not in time. Royals still alive. So Brown getting into a fielder's choice after getting the green light on 3-0.
Throws are pretty long right here to get an opportunity to double up Emil Brown, even though Scott Rowland charges at third base, and Emil quick enough to beat it down the line.
Dave Stewart, who was a pitcher for both Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan in Oakland and had a whole bunch of 20-win seasons, recently said that Dave Duncan is the best pitching coach he's ever been around as far as finishing the product. So maybe it's one pitch, maybe it's a little mechanical glitch, maybe it's a mental shortcoming. Dave Duncan is the guy that comes in and just kind of polishes the guy off.
Well, a lot of that might be a guy who has some experience, has maybe learned some things along the way, and as the finishing touches, part of that is not just mechanics, it's how to put a little on, take a little off, change speeds, move the ball around. Remember, Dave Duncan was a hitter as well, so he'll not only know the mechanics of pitching, but how to get hitters out.
And Graffinino into right field. Emil Brown thinking about going to third, but he'll hold at second base. Encarnacion, a good defender in right field. So Tony Graffinino with his first hit He had an RBI and a run scored in the second. And 2 on with 2 out.
Graffinino likes the ball in the outer part of the plate. In fact, all the Royals like the ball out over the plate. They constantly work on working the middle part of the field. A little inside-out swing right there by Graffinino. Graffinino had a pretty good road trip. Went 5 for 16 with a couple RBIs, getting regular playing time at third base now. Middle relievers starting to move around out there in the St. Louis Cardinal bullpen. A little light stretching. Find your glove. Phone might be ringing soon.
Split it was just 2 weeks ago today that Tony Graffinino was hitting 143. But when Mark Teahan was struggling at third base and then eventually went down to AAA, Graffinino getting more playing time, and he's made the most of it. Now Baroa Angel with an RBI on a ground out in the second inning. Well, he is 0 for his last 12, so he's ready to bust out. Carpenter nails the inside corner.
Baroa, one of those guys that has always done well in interleague play. Interleague play against National League clubs, .296 average. That's some of his best hitting against the National. Still struggling with that breaking ball. Not getting along with his curveball at all tonight. There are days like that. He has had times earlier in the ball game where he flipped one out to that side of the plate, came right back with that same pitch on the next pitch, and threw a pretty good one down and away. Just because he missed with that one doesn't mean you can eliminate the curveball on this next offering. There it is.
Yeah, don't tell Shane Costa that Carpenter is struggling with his curveball tonight. And as you pointed out, Split, look at that sweat just falling off the bill of his cap.
Well, it kind of gets to the point that you can't get a forearm dry. Your uniform is soaking wet. It's a tough way to even dry your hand to get the grip on the pitch.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
That can really be refreshing after 3 or 4 tough innings to go upstairs in between innings, put on a dry t-shirt, maybe even a dry uniform shirt. Everything feels so light. Change your uniform cap. Feel pretty refreshed in the next half inning. That's if you can survive.
Now, is that all sweat, or is he maybe dunking his hat in some cold water in between innings to stay cool?
The cold water really doesn't help you when you get back out there. That water warms up pretty good.
Luna positioned perfectly, goes to the bag to force out Graffinino. The inning is over, but the Royals add 2 thanks to former Cardinal Reggie Sanders with this long home run to left center field, and the Royals lead 5-0 at the end of 3. Reggie Sanders has gone deep, and the Royals have a 5-0 lead against the Cardinals as we go to the 4th inning. Ryan Lefebvre along with Paul Splittorff. And just as we expected, right? You go 0-6 on the road trip. You're facing the best team in the National League, the Cy Young winner from last year, and you lead 5-0.
Baseball is a crazy game. You wonder how these things can happen, but the Royals have had all kinds of base runners. They go 1, 2, 3 in the first inning, but have 5 hits, a couple walks, and hits batter. Since then, they've had a couple nice innings. The lower part of the order getting RBIs, and Reggie Sanders with the 2-run home run. Check out our Aflac trivia question. Aflac asked about it at work. Who are the 5 first-round picks combined on both the Cardinals and the Royals in the starting rotations? 5 first-round picks.
We can begin with both starting pitchers tonight.
Mark Redmond ready to go back at it for the Royals. Faces Scott Spezio, who's got a bunt down, and it's a beauty. Graffinino charges for third, but no chance to throw him out. Let's check out our league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. League leaders, Albert Pujols leads the majors in home runs with 19, RBIs with 48, slugging percentage 789. And check out the projections. How about a year where he hit 78 and drove in 197?
48 RBIs already.
Didn't play yesterday for the Cardinals. Had the day off. 0 for 1 here tonight. He bounced to Baroa his first time up. 19 home runs here late in May. Looks like a typo. Here's the 1-0. Pulled the string and had him out in front. That's tough to do. Pujols That was a fastball situation that Redmond went to the straight changeup, and look how far in front he is on this pitch. Got to be careful coming inside with the fastball. But pretty well the center fielder turns Costa around, and it is on the hill. One of the things that makes him great is the ability to adjust. Look bad on the previous pitch, hits the next one out better than 400 feet from home plate. Pujols has his 20th of the season, picks up his 49th and 50th RBI, and it's now a 5-2 KC lead.
Well, here's that adjustment. Redmond had him out in front with the changeup. Fooled badly. And then on the very next pitch, look at his balance. Watch his head. Hardly moves. Very short stride. Strong legs. Just amazing balance. He has a great eye. He's a great hitter. He's a big, strong man. But I don't know if there's anybody more balanced in the batter's box in the big leagues than Albert Pujols.
Remember a couple weeks ago when we were in Minneapolis, we were talking about Joe Mauer, that same kind of balance and how good he looks, the fluid swing. Well, the balance is the same, but Pujols is the guy with the power. Mauer is going to get some extra base hits, maybe hit the ball off the wall, maybe even hit it out of the ballpark. But Pujols does that with huge power. Scott Rowland, he walked his first time up.
Let's look at it again, regular speed, and just watch the head, the hips, the center of his body. I mean, nothing moves. It's not a guy lunging way out. It's not a guy cocking the bat way back and letting it all go. Just tremendous balance.
And Scott Rowland rips a single into left field. He's got a 4-game hitting streak, and here come the Redbirds.
Now, this is why the Cardinals didn't panic when the Royals got 3 in the second inning, and we were talking about that play on a ground ball to third that Rowland didn't quite get the grip. He didn't force a play at home plate. He went to first, took the out. They know they can score runs. They know they're going to hit the ball, and even though they're down 5-0, here you go in the 4th inning, a bunt single, a 2-run home run, and a second single.
And here's Juan Encarnacion. Encarnacion hitting 5th in the order tonight. Fly to center field his first time up. Cardinals got their first hit in the 3rd inning. And 3 consecutive base hits to open here in the 4th. Encarnacion 0 for his last 8. Now 2 for his last 20. When you talk to the St. Louis Cardinals people, they say that they are not hitting on all cylinders yet because there's some guys struggling with the bat. Encarnacion would be one. Taguchi would be another. Molina's been struggling a bit lately. Going to have solid hitters behind Pujols, or they're going to start pitching around him a little bit more frequently. Here's the 1-1. Encarnacion's always been a dead fastball hitter. More curveballs and straight changes you can throw him, usually the better off you are. Redmond had the count, of ball and 2 strikes. In a stretch where they're going to play 21 straight games outside of their division in that National League. So they leave Kansas City, they head out west. High chopper over third base. It's fair ball up the left field line. Rolling around second on his way to third, and they're going to hold him up.
What in the world did that ball hit? Nope, it hit the edge of the grass. That should have been just a ground ball to Graffinino, and who knows, maybe a double play, but it hit the front edge of the grass, and that's why it bounded so high. Watch from this angle. That thing just shoots up into the air, and then it goes from a possible double play ground ball to no play at all and a double.
Encarnacion with the double right there. Now it's 4 consecutive base hits for the Cardinals here in the 4th inning.
And maybe Bob McClure is out there just to calm down Mark Redmond, who had a pretty easy first 3 innings. In fact, the Cardinals had just 1 hit, but a bunt single in this inning and that bad hop off the edge of the grass. So maybe Bob McClure just saying, hey, settle down, you're not pitching that badly.
Check out our RSTN broadcast schedule brought to us this evening by Energizer. Energizer batteries are available at Hy-Vee, the official grocer of RSTN. We've got coverage on all 3 of these games against the Cardinals over the weekend. The Tigers come calling a 4-game series starting here on Monday night. Televised then as well. Here's Jim Edmonds. Put into a double play his last time up. He's now 0 for his last 9. He had an 11-game hitting streak come to an end midweek this week. Wednesday night ball game. Got the collar thrown on him. Struggling a little bit since. An RBI possibility right here. He has 27 knocked in so far this year. His next pitch got him out in front of the changeup. It's 0-2.
You know, his changeup is so good that he'll throw it often to left-hand batters, and a lot of left-hand pitchers don't like throwing the changeup to left-hand batters because it'll fade into the left-hand hitter. Redmond will throw his changeup to righties and lefties.
Another changeup and got him swinging. You know, did leave that one on the inside part of the plate. Edmonds still out in front of him. That's his first strikeout of the night.
Well, and Edmonds swinging and missing at 2 changeups in a row, and maybe he was thinking along the same lines. I'm guessing he doesn't face many lefties in the National League that will attack him with changeups. Usually a righty will throw changeups to left-hand hitters, and left-hand pitchers will throw changeups to right-hand hitters.
So Taguchi hits next for the Redbirds. Infield ground ball his first time up. The Royals going to play it in tight at the corners at first with Minkiewicz, at third base with Graffinino. Both the middle infielders are well back. Taguchi's 0 for his last 8. The guys in the lower part of their batting order that has been held down recently.
Well, he looks like he's about 12 years old, doesn't he?
Not very big. He's about the size of Ichiro. 10 and about 160. That's surprising pop for a little guy. 8 home runs a season ago.
And with the number 99, he also leads the Cardinals in sacks.
2 balls, no strikes
if
now.
the number never fit a guy, number 99 on So Taguchi. Isn't that usually reserved for a defensive tackle?
Dangerous pitch to be made here. Another straight changeup. Mid-70s on your radar gun. And really effective. Redmond uses the conventional circle changeup grip. Speed a part of that pitch, but also the sinking action that he has on it. Now 2 balls and a strike. Does he double up on that same pitch? Does not. Fouled off right side. Now 2-2. Game 1 of 3 over the weekend. First weekend of interleague play. A number of the attractive matchups going on across the country. The Cubs and the Sox played this afternoon. The A's and the Giants. That one gets away at the plate. Over near the Cardinal dugout. One run will score. It's now a 5-3 game. The ball got away from John Buck, and that chase was rolling home from third.
Well, that's painful because the way Redmond is throwing his changeup, and he tried to go with another one, he's been throwing that and getting some strikeouts, some swings and misses. I think that hit the plate, and that's why it bounced the way it did away from John Buck. John was in good position to block it, and he's so good at blocking balls in the dirt. But I think that thing landed right on home plate and bounced higher than Buck expected it to.
Here's the payoff. Throw it short, has it. Out at first, but another run scores. 4 runs home in the inning for St. Louis, and we've got a 1-run game.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Molina coming to the plate, but you take away that wild pitch and that ground ball to Baroa, 1 run scores, but the runner Encarnacion remains at second base, and now you're facing a 170 hitter. Here's that wild pitch again. Nope, it didn't hit the plate. If it did, maybe it hit the front corner, but John Buck was not, you could tell, expecting it to bounce up over his shoulder. He was positioned for that thing to kick up and maybe hit him in the chest protector.
So the base is clear for Molina. A good play by Baroa to retire him back in the 3rd inning. 2 balls, no strikes. It's been a long frame for Redmond.
Hey, that's enough now. That's down right there. I'm not calling out on you guys. That's enough.
Staying with the off-speed stuff, and it's 3-0. Well, you mentioned the Cardinals maybe not going on all cylinders yet. You look at their statistics, the way they line up in the National League. They're 4th in the league in batting average, but they're right in the middle of the National League in runs scored, middle of the league in home runs hit, in the lower quarter of the league in doubles. So it's a team that's maybe struggling a little bit offensively. And Molina draws the 2-out walk.
There's 25 pitches in this inning, and on a game like this, when it's so hot, for the pitcher, it probably feels more like 35 pitches in an inning. And when you talk about pitch counts, there's 2 different categories. Number 1, there's the total pitch count, which Bob McClure, as pitching coach, and Buddy Bell will keep a close eye on. So when a guy gets to about 100 pitches total, you figure he's going to wear down. But then there's the pitch count within an inning. And when a guy gets to a point where he's 25, 30, 35 pitches in an inning, one particular inning, doesn't matter if it's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or in this case the 4th inning, it has the same effect as if he had gone 100 or 110 for the entire game.
Now here's Hector Luna, their number 9 hitter. Singled up the middle his last time up. Well, Redmond had 42 pitches through the first 3 innings here tonight, so I think that highlights what you're talking about, Ryan. The way he's had to stretch out in this inning. Cardinals finishing up the 2nd time through their order against Redmond. Should be the inning. Short left field. Emil Brown up into the twilight has it, and the Cardinals have a good round. They pick up 4 runs on 4 base hits. They strand a base runner. Big blast in the inning. Cardinals right back in this one with 4 runs in the top of the 4th inning. Royals still lead at 5-4 as we check out the answer on our Aflac trivia question. Aflac asked about it at work. Well, a question tonight: who are the 5 first-round picks combined on both the Cardinals and the Royals starting rotations here this weekend?
Royals have 2. None of those guys are with the team that drafted them in the 1st round.
First ball hitting is John Buck. Rolls one to Eckstein. Gunned out at first. Well, fans have asked for them. Now they're here. Get your tickets early for the Royals Retired Number Bobblehead Series presented by Dodge. Frank White leads off the 2006 Special Edition bobbleheads. It'll be Saturday, June 24th. The first 20,000 fans will receive this exclusive Frank White bobblehead featuring his 8 gold gloves. Dick Hauser and George Brett will follow later on this summer, so you want to make sure you collect all 3. Here's Shane Costa, his 3rd time up. Struck out his first 2 times in. Solid base hit to center here in the 4th.
And both of those strikeouts in his first 2 at-bats coming on curveballs from Carpenter, and both times called 3rd strikes. So Costa not putting himself in a position where Carpenter could use that curveball again, jumping on the first fastball. So an 8-game hitting streak for Shane Costa.
So Costa on at first base with 1 out for Gredzalanic. Looking for his first hit of the ball game. 0 for 2. A ground ball to first. Nice play by Pujols. He struck out in the 3rd. Well, talking to Mike Barnett before the ball game tonight, the Royals hitting instructor, and his instructions were the guys, if Carpenter gives you a fastball in the 1st or 2nd pitch and it's to your liking, even though it might not be perfect, you might want to get after it. Because he's very good with the breaking ball, and he is very good about getting hitters to reach outside on cutters, sinkers going the other way. He works both sides of the plate just out of the zone very well. So if you get a pitch that you're pretty fond of on the first couple, you might want to go ahead and make a pass at it, and that's exactly what Shane Costa did.
Gredzalanic, though, took a fastball right down the middle from Carpenter on the first pitch. And then the next pitch chased one in the dirt. So here's that philosophy that Mike Barnett was talking about, the first pitch. Now Grudzielanek looked like he was taken the whole way, which is fine, but then he goes after that pitch. And that puts him in position split, as you were talking about, where now he can go with the curveball.
Down on the count again, a ball and 2 strikes. There's the curveball hit on the ground. Second baseman Luna has it. Eckstein for 1. Too late to first. Grudzielanek reaches on the fielder's choice. He's there with 2 outs.
Ball was not hit very hard as Grudzielanek was reaching, but Shane Casa with a good breakup slide. David Eckstein does not have a strong arm as it is, but when you have Costa bearing in on your knees, that takes even more steam out of the throw.
Eckstein back to his shortstop position, and here's Doug Mientkiewicz. Singled and scored his last time up. Mientkiewicz 1 for 2 tonight. He's added 4 points to his average, now hitting .252. No home runs, 11 RBIs for Mientkiewicz. Now a 4-game hitting streak, a half a dozen hits during that stretch. Over the top of the cutter, safe at first.
Wow.
Royal scouting report documented that their catcher Yadier Molina likes to throw behind the base runners. I'm sure Mark Grudzielanek knows that after having played with him last year, but a little bit like Pudge Rodriguez early in his career, throwing behind base runners wherever they are.
Well, he may have just missed the tag. He may have missed his arm and then tagged him high. Grudzielanek, good look there. He was leaning towards second base because that pitch was low. So Grudzielanek was anticipating a pitch in the dirt. And so he took 1 step towards second. Molina knew that, and that's why he almost got Grudzielanek at first. Now watch Grudzielanek. The pitch is in the dirt. Grudzelanek's right leg. See that step towards second? Now, you can turn towards second base with your upper body, and you're okay. But once you commit with your lower body and you take a step in that direction, then you're dead. And if Pujols applies that tag a little bit lower, Grudzielanek is probably out. But with the swipe, I think he missed his arm. And by the time he got Grudzielanek on the helmet, his hand was already back on the base.
Now 3 balls and a strike on Mientkiewicz. This is time to set Grudzielanek with 2 outs in the inning. Steals this year, been caught 1 time, is not running. It's low ball 4. Hey, Royals fans, always traveling and missing too many Royals games? Well, you can watch Royals games live online wherever you are away from Kansas City, exclusively from MLB.TV. Royals.com has more live games than anyone else. Royals.com, where baseball is always on.
Split, let's see what happens here as Carpenter has really had problems with his curveball, and that's what Reggie hit out in his first at-bat. But Carpenter has thrown a couple of fastballs right by Sanders.
Reggie hit by a pitch. He's doubled, scored a couple runs, driven in 2 more. He's responsible for 4 out of the Royals' 5 runs tonight. Over the cutter there.
Hanging curveball, and Reggie was all over it. So Reggie may have eliminated that pitch from this at bat.
Home run was his 5th of the season. He has 18 RBIs. Shot foul at the plate. No balls and 2 strikes here. Now you get an idea of what the Cardinals think of Reggie Sanders as far as getting a strikeout. Probably going to go a pitch or 2 out of the zone to see if he'll chase. And they're going to think high fastball. They're going to think low breaking ball. Carpenter has good enough stuff on most nights and good enough command on most nights that he can go either way. Both runners have big leads. The Cardinal infield's well back. Got him with the cut fastball. Strikeout in the inning is the 4th for Carpenter. He pitches out of the jam at the bottom of the 4th. 1 of 3 over the weekend in the I-70 series. The Royals
leading 5-4. Mark Redmond back out for the top of the 5th inning. We'll see the top of the Cardinal batting order. David Eckstein leading things off is 0 for 2 tonight. Redmond opened the ball game with 3 scoreless innings, but gave up a 4 spot in the top of the 4th inning. Cardinals sent 8 men to the plate against him. It's 2 balls, no strikes to Eckstein. Redmond working quickly, throws the fastball right on through there. Redmond still looking for his first win of the season. It's his 7th start and appearance. Royals haven't won any of his starts this year. He's had less run support than anybody else in the rotation, and there's a leadoff single by Eckstein. Reaches for the first time tonight. Seems like we just got back in Kansas City, but more road trips coming up. Let's check out the upcoming road trip brought to us by Missouri Tourism. For great Missouri vacation ideas, see us online at visitmo.com. Next road trip is a beauty. How about a 3-town deal? Starting in New York for 3, on to Oakland for 3 after an off day on the 1st of June, a Thursday. 4-game series in Seattle, including a night game on Monday night. That's one of those holdover series. Started on Friday, finish it on Monday.
And it makes sense because Oakland and New York are right next to each other.
Easy to get to, direct flight.
You know, it used to be when the schedule made more sense as you just went right up along each coast. You played New York and Boston and Baltimore, and then you play Seattle, Oakland, and Anaheim. And now the trips are all right along the coast, but the only problem is you're doing both coasts in one trip.
I guess the way you could make it worse would be start out west and travel east, so you not only got the jet time, but also you lose 3 hours.
Listen, don't give any of those wizards any ideas, all right? Next thing you know, that'll be on the schedule.
And then when we get done with that, we want to sign up for that Seattle to Tampa flight. Scott Spezio's 1 for 2 tonight. Bunted his way on his last time up. They really got the Cardinals going. They were looking for a spark. They had just 1 hit in the first 3 innings against Redmond. Redmond was throwing well, and Spezio, their designated hitter, bunted his way on. Hits are now even at 6 each. Still lead at 5-4. The 1-2. Missed with the breaking ball. It gets away, and Eckstein's going to try to move into second, and he'll reach safely. Probably going to go as a wild pitch. John Buck getting quite a workout.
And look at how quickly Eckstein reacted and went to second base. Runners will be taught, good base runners, well, all runners, but the ones that really pay attention will be anticipating pitches in the dirt, especially with 2 strikes. So when the ball is in the dirt, it's not a huge adjustment to go to second base. It's almost like you're leaning a little bit towards second, much like Mark Grutzelanek was in the last inning. But that pitch was in the dirt, handled by Molina, and he almost picked him off.
2-2 pitches just a shade low. So 3 balls, 2 strikes on Spezio. When you talk about the base runner and anticipating, and anytime anybody talks about David Eckstein, they talk about his instincts. And he might be a little short in the abilities category, the size and the arm strength, things like that. But whatever he lacks right there, he makes up for in effort and instincts, determination. Payoff is ripped into left field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Eckstein's already around third, going to draw a throw, but it's cut off. And the Cardinals have come all the way back to tie this thing at 5.
Okay, that's a great series of at-bats. First of all, Eckstein with the leadoff single goes to second on a wild pitch, and then Spezio is down in the count, 0-2. He works a full count, gets a pitch up, and ties the ball game. And now it gets really scary.
Here's Pujols. 2-run home run to straightaway center field his last time up. First in the National League in home runs, first in the league in RBIs. Already has 26 extra base hits this year. That would put him in the top 2 in the National League.
Sometimes you just throw over to first base because you don't want to deliver a pitch.
Hoping that maybe he'll just go away.
Buddy Bell on his way to the mound. He's already given the signal to the bullpen. He's going to want Joel Peralta. So Mark Redman's going to go 4+ innings here tonight. Charged with 4 runs on 7 base hits and responsible for a man on at first base. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Ms. Bear's. Delicious baked goods available at Hy-Vee, the official grocer of RSTN. Royals started a lefty. Here comes the righty out of the pen. Mark Redman goes 4+ innings here tonight, giving up 7 base hits. He strikes out 1, walks 2. His way to Joel Peralta. Opened the season in the minor leagues, was recalled a month ago. 12th appearance for Peralta, 1-0 record. Solid earned run average of 2.77. To the converted infielder, there's the rest of his line. Cardinals have 3 right-handed hitters scheduled here in the top of the 5th inning. Albert Pujols will be first. Runner on first, nobody out. The Cardinals have a runner home. There goes the base runner from first. And hit on the ground through the left side of the infield. Spezio was running on the pitch. He goes first to third. And Pujols has his 2nd hit of the night.
Split, that may have been a hit and run. You don't normally hit and run with your number 3 hitter, but remember, Pujols is a guy who's won a couple of batting titles, so he has good bat control. But with the runner going, Pujols did not have a very good swing here. In fact, looked a little bit off balance, but still looked like he was intent on trying to hit the ball on the ground.
This is a breaking ball right here. That's why he held back a little bit. He kind of hitched back in his swing. If you had a book on Tony La Russa and you studied him over the years as a manager, you'd know that he likes to do things after a break. Pitch and change, maybe a visit to the mound. If something kind of broke down the rhythm and the timing of the game to where maybe players lost their focus a little bit, focusing on something else. Okay, now we got to get it geared up. He likes to attack then, and that's exactly what they did. First pitch after the pitching change. You know that reliever's going to try to throw a strike. Good time to hit and run. Now here's Scott Rowland. He hammers one into left field. 4th consecutive hit in the inning for the Cardinals. That gets another runner home. Pujols headed for third. They're going to try to score him. Burrow's throw to the plate is offline. So the Cardinals scored 2 more.
Okay, another thing Albert Pujols does, he hustles. When that ball was hit, there was no coast whatsoever in Albert Pujols. He went burning into second base, around second base, and he was thinking about scoring right away. And this is a guy that you mentioned, Split, is banged up. He didn't play yesterday, but Pujols going hard into second base, going hard into third base, and scores all the way from first. He is about as atypical as it comes for a guy who hits as many home runs and drives in as many runs as he does.
Juan Encarnacion will hit next. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Doubled and scored his last time up. So Peralta out of the Royals bullpen. Has faced 2 batters, hasn't retired either one of them. Big swing there from Encarnacion. Fouled it straight back. He was right on a breaking ball. So you can close the book on Mark Redman. He'll be charged with 6 runs here tonight. All of them have been earned. Cardinals lead it 7-5. Line drive center field. Costa to his left. Now fading back, and it's over his head. Misread the ball. Here comes Rowland around third. He'll score. On to third goes Encarnacion. It's 8-5 St. Louis.
Remember, Costa did not play a lot on defense as he was rehabbing his hamstring. The hardest play for a center fielder is a ball that's hit right at you, and having to make the decision whether this ball is going to sink or whether it's going to carry. Now Costa, his first step, see, in and across. Then he adjusts back. They call that the banana route, because if you were to paint a line behind Costa and how he went after that ball, it would look like a banana. The safe way to play that when the ball is hit right at you is your first step is to go back and then adjust in, because if you misread the ball, the worst thing that's going to happen is that it's a single. It's going to fall in front of you. But if you make the mistake of coming in first and then try and adjust back, that's what happens.
They're going to give Encarnacion a triple. So 10th hit of the ball game for the Cardinals. Jim Edmonds will hit next. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Royals have the infield in tight all the way around. Minkevich real tight at first base with the cut of the grass. Goes that way. Minkevich plays it to the midsection. Does not have to tag the base runner back there. As Edmonds starts back to home plate, he's automatically out. Encarnacion holds on at third.
Look at how Minkevich gets into fielding position, getting down as low as he can. You see fielders reach down, put their glove on the ground, because what they're trying to do is emphasize staying down on the ball. Minkevich does more than that. He gets his shoulders and his chest very low to the ground, and you can see the KP on the side of his cap there in honor of Kirby Puckett, who passed away in March. Minkevich from the Twins organization.
Here's so Taguchi. It's called strike one. Taguchi got an RBI his last time up. He rolled the ball to Baroa at short. Twins wearing number 34 on their jerseys. Puckett's sold number. Taguchi with the start in left field tonight. Peralta misses with the breaking ball. It's 1-1. Cardinals sent 8 men to the plate in the 4th inning. Taguchi is the 7th Redbird to bat here in the 5th. Albert Pujols, a 2-run home run, a single. 2 for 3 tonight. The bunt is on. It's down. And it's perfect. Everything working for the Cardinals here in the last couple innings. Encarnacion scores from third. It's now 9-5.
Well, Tony La Russa just in that attack mode that you were talking about since Peralta's come into the game, and goes with the suicide squeeze. And with the Royals having the infield in, and Taguchi not a strong hitter. He has just 5 extra base hits, so he's more of a ground ball hitter. Tony La Russa trying to find a way to make sure he gets that runner home from third base.
Here's Yadier Molina. He is the 8th man to bat in this inning for St. Louis. So they match what they did in the 4th inning. Molina 0 for 1. Walked his last time up. 0 for his last 6. Walter would like to get out of the inning right here. Throw it to his left. Wheels fires as it's dug out by Minkevich. But the Cardinals have another good inning. Score 5 runs on 5 base hits. Lead the Royals now 9-. At one time in this ball game, Chris Carpenter trailed 5-0. Right now, he needs to complete the 5th to qualify or win. Cardinals up 9-5. Well, everyone's favorite mascot, Slugger, is turning 10 years old next month, and you're invited to a big birthday bash on the weekend of June 10th. Saturday, watch Slugger blow out all the candles with some of his mascot friends, including the Philly Fanatic, Billy the Marlin, the Mariner Moose. Plus, the first 5,000 kids will get a piece of birthday cake free from Hy-Vee. That's Slugger's birthday party, June the 10th. Mariner Moose is coming to town. Love that guy.
He was the one who, he's had 2 of the best mascot wipeouts I've ever seen in my life.
Eckstein had Stairs played perfectly behind the bag at second base, and that retired for the first time tonight.
Stairs really beat the shift with his double to left in the 2nd inning. But now at that shift over to the right, look at that. I mean, Eckstein is right there.
To make it even better for him, it's a shorter throw. So 1 up, 1 down in the bottom of the 5th, and Emil Brown will hit next. He's first ball hit in it. Rips that one by Roland at third. Emil's got his first hit of the game. Let's check out our updated pitch count and let's check out Chris Carpenter tonight. The pitch count brought to us by James B. Nutter, making the American dream come true since 1951. Carpenter got worked over pretty good in the second and third innings here tonight. 78 pitches here, as 48 of those have been strikes. Hasn't had a 1-2-3 inning since the first. Here's Tony Graffinino. Graff an RBI his first time up, got it on a fielder's choice. He singled to right his last time in. Graffinino now with a 3-game hitting streak, has 14 hits in his last 11 games. Checked off, but took the called strike. Snowballs 2 strikes.
Great night at the ballpark. No wind whatsoever, or as Mike Sweeney likes to say, the wind is blowing straight down.
Straight down. Not getting any carry out of that wind.
Is there? Where's the flag on that pole there? That's the highest flagpole too.
Somebody come in and steal the championship flag?
Is that the
highest one is the championship
Maybe it would
flag.
make sense. You'd want to put the most important flag on the highest flagpole. Well, that'd be a prank of all pranks.
Second highest to the right is the 1980 American League Championship flag. The other 4 are the divisional plays. Didn't think a Cardinal fan got that, would you?
Who else would it be? Interesting timing as well.
Can you believe the crime in this area? There's called strike 3. Second out of the inning. And 5th strikeout of the night for Carpenter.
Well, he can cut it, he can sink it. Here's the 2-seamer. Called a 2-seamer because his fingers going along with the seams started outside. Graffinino gave up on it, tailed over the outside corner, although Tony doesn't think it tailed over the outside corner. That's discussing it with home plate umpire Sam Holbrook.
Here's Angel Baroa. Rips one right at Rowan. Takes the out at second base. So the Royals get a single from Emil Brown. They strand a base runner. They stranded 6 in the ballgame. Cardinals started out down 5. They now lead it by 4. Well, we found the flag, Rhino.
There was a Cardinal fan. Now, why would you want that flag, though? I mean, that's not a proud moment in Cardinal history, is it?
The blitz is on.
I'll bet he's not done with him.
Yep. Spike the cap.
Yep.
Little drop kick.
And he's usually good for a pile drive, too, or a body slam. The Chiefs are on the phone as we speak. And then, yeah, you got to finish him off. What? Oh. You know you got a guy in a good spot when the legs pop up. See the legs come up there? That's when you know you got him on a good spot. That means you got him everywhere.
Cardinals batting the top of the 6th inning. It's their number 9 hitter, Hector Luna. 1 for 2. He had a 3rd inning single. Cardinals 9 runs, 10 hits. The Royals 5 runs on 7 hits. He's got to hope to play some catch up here tonight. It's the National League Central leading St. Louis Cardinals. It's a ball and a strike as Peralta got the breaking ball over. Mark Redmond started the ball game for KC. Went 4+ innings. Looking for his first win of the season. It won't happen here tonight. Royals play Luna as a pull hitter, both in their infield and their outfield. Just off the outside corner, the knees. It's 2-1. Royals last year split their season series against the National Leaguers. They won 9 while losing 9. Royals are just finishing up a stretch where 13 out of their 16 games were played away from Kauffman Stadium. Finished 5-11 during that stretch. There's 3 of those wins coming here in Kansas City. The 3-game sweep with the Cleveland Indians. Now the 2-2 pitch. Straightaway center field. Shane Costa to his left has it for the first out of the inning. Now 1 for 3 tonight.
On the triple from Encarnacion, remember Costa started in with the first step. There he is in center field. That time his first step was back. So instead of coming in and reacting back, that time he went back first and then came in, adjusting coming in. Now that ball was not hit as hard as Encarnacion's triple, but you can see the adjustment that he made.
Here's David Eckstein. He was in the middle of their 5th inning 5-run rally. Had a leadoff single, moved up on a wild pitch, scored a run. Eckstein 1 for 3 tonight, facing right-hander Joel Peralta. The 1-0. Thrown across at the knees. While the Royals went .500 against the National League last year, the Cardinals won 10 out of 15. And one of the areas they did really well was with their DHs. Their DHs in interleague play last year hit better than 400. 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and what Tony La Russa's done the last couple of years. In a National League club, they don't have just one DH or one DH type. All their guys are pretty versatile, can play a number of positions, especially their backup people. He will take one backup player and make him the DH over 3 days. We'll see if he does that again this year, but that's what he's done the last couple seasons here in Kansas City. He'll maybe start Spezio today. He might take another one of his backup players, maybe a Larry Bigby tomorrow. He might be the DH, maybe a John Rodriguez another day. He might rotate around and give one of his backup players 3 or 4 at-bats in a given game. Here's the 3-1.
I always thought the interleague play format favors the National League teams because when you're in the American League ballparks, all you're doing is giving a bench guy some more at-bats. So you're not really changing your lineup dramatically. You're giving your pitcher a little more time off.
Nubber to the right side. Gruzzalonic has been busy tonight, especially in the early innings. He gets Eckstein.
So not a big adjustment for the National League teams when they go to the American League. You're just putting another guy in the lineup. But on the flip side, when the American League teams go to the National League cities, now they have to hit the pitcher, and that's something they're completely unfamiliar with. So that's a much bigger adjustment for the American League teams than the National League teams.
And the St. Louis Cardinals might have the most accomplished pitching staff in the National League as far as handling the bat. They've got some guys with terrific batting average. Everybody handles the bat well and can bunt. Got some pretty good athletes. Some guys can get out and run the bases a little bit. It's one of the real strengths of this Cardinal ball club. There's a solid base hit for Scott Spezio. That's his 3rd hit of the night. So there's a part-time player in as the DH. 3 for 4 tonight.
And a guy who's done some DHing in the American League. Spezio was mostly a first baseman, a little bit of third base when he was with the Angels. But then when he went to Seattle and was having some problems on defense, he spent some time as the DH. And so he can adjust to this role now, even though he's with the National League team. And they're about to hoist that World Championship flag back up in left field.
And here's Pujols. 2 for 3 tonight. 2-run home run. Single and a run scored his last time up. Sky to left. If it comes down, he should be out. And Emil Brown has it. So the Cardinals gone on the top of the 6th inning. They get a base hit, strand a runner. They've stranded 3 in the ball game. If the flag goes up, Slugger does his work on the culprit. We're still trailing at 9-5. Running this the bottom of the 6th inning. Robert will win $300, and if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the ballpark, Robert Sugg from Warwick, Missouri wins $25,000 with Sonic and RSTN. John Buck will lead things off. Had a couple home runs on the last homestand. 1 for 2 tonight. Had an RBI single back in the 2nd. John's now hitting 7 of his last 8 ball games. Has his average up to 268. Catch up with the curveball there. It's 1-2. Carpenter's given up some home runs this year. He's given up half a dozen so far. Trying to get him to chase a bad one there. checked off in time. It's 2-2. Royals finishing up their third time through their batting order against St. Louis starter Chris Carpenter. Carpenter looking for his 4th win of the season. And ERA a couple ticks under 2 point coming in. Just off the outside corner with the fastball there. Couldn't check off this time. Carpenter has his 6th strikeout of the night. Well, thank you for watching us tonight here on RSTN. Remember, if you can't pick up the game on TV, you can check out all the action over on the Royals Radio Network. Andy Matthews alongside Fred White tonight, calling all the action. And the Royals have now almost 100 stations on their affiliates around the 6-state network area. Free, their producer engineer there as well. He keeps losing weight. He's going to be a base stealer by the All-Star break.
Does he know that?
Not yet. Here's Shane Costa. 1 for 3, a couple strikeouts, and a single his last time up. Both of his strikeouts were looking. Got caught a couple times on backdoor breaking balls from the veteran Carpenter. Carpenter 2nd in the National League with that earned run average coming into play tonight. He's also in the top 10 in innings pitched and also strikeouts. Uses the split finger pitch for a changeup. Count holds at 1-2.
Now you can widen the grip a little bit with the index finger and the middle finger. You don't have to necessarily wedge it in there like a split finger or a forkball, but just widening the grip will take something off the pitch and make it sink.
Breaking ball stays up in the strike zone. And Costa turns on it, rips it into the right field corner. On his way to second base, he's in with a stand-up double. It's his 2nd hit of the ballgame. That's another mistake breaking ball right there by Carpenter, and he paid the price.
He had Costa a little bit off balance and reaching, but the pitch was up, and Shane was able to keep his hands back long enough. Certainly not the same curveball that he saw in the 1st and 2nd innings. Shane certainly doesn't look like he missed about 3 weeks. He's had some good swings tonight.
That gets Gredzelanek to the plate. Mark's looking for his 1st hit of the ball game. Through the Carpenter fastball.
You know, sometimes a pitcher will set up a hitter, and at times a hitter will set up a pitcher. Remember last time Gredzelanek came up, he just took all the way. Looked like he wasn't even interested in swinging the bat. So maybe he was setting up this at bat, and now he's got a runner in scoring position, and he let it all go with that first swing against Carpenter.
Got the longest hit streak of any of the Royals coming into play tonight, a 5-gamer, but Carpenter getting the best of it here this evening. It's 0-2. Starting out on a 9-game road trip. They play 3 here this weekend. 3 in San Francisco the start of next week. Their trip finishes up in San Diego for 3 next weekend. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Robert Sugg from Warwick, Missouri, our contestant tonight in the Sonic Slam inning. He'll win $300 for a home run. One on, one out. The Royals hitting the bottom of the 6th inning. Holds at 1-2. Buddy Bell hoping his club could break a 6-game losing streak here tonight. Got a 3-game winning streak at home.
Lefty Tyler Johnson warming up as Carpenter is approaching 100 pitches.
Breaking ball, got him chasing. And knocked it down, so he'll have to throw to first for the putout. Costa holds on at 2nd. That's 7 strikeouts in the ball game now for Carpenter. 4 of those have come in the last 3 innings.
You know, he's had some breaking balls tonight that have been really bad. They've hung. And then he's thrown some very good breaking balls. So it's been an inconsistent pitch for him. That was well down and away, but Rutzelanek was convinced it was going to fall in for a strike.
This is his line tonight. 5 runs coming early in the ball game. 3 in the second, 2 in the third. Now he faces Doug Mientkiewicz, whose first ball hit it. Rips one up the right field line. It's hooking near the foul pole. It's a fair ball. Off the pads. That's going to get a run home. Costa scores from second, and Mientkiewicz in sliding safely at second base. A 2-out double from Mientkiewicz has made it a 9-6 ball game.
This was very close. First base umpire Randy Marsh going down the line to get a close look. And it appears that it hit right on the yellow padding. Tony La Russa not sure. Looked like he was coming out to make a pitching change, but instead he wants to talk it over with Randy Marsh. He really didn't go that far out. But what an umpire tries to do on a call like that is stop. And so their head is still, if you're running and your head's bobbing up and down, it's really hard to pinpoint where a ball is going to land. So even though Randy Marsh doesn't go that far out, watch what he does. The ball's hit, he takes a few steps out, now he stops, so his head is still, so he can really get a good look at it. So no movement in his head. And very close, but that might have been just right of the yellow stripe in right field.
So Mientkiewicz in at second base. Dave Duncan's going to make the trip to the mound. He's going to call in a couple of their infielders. So Duncan, Molina, Luna is there, Eckstein is there. Carpenter's going to stay in the ballgame.
Now Tony La Russa had the left-hander Tyler Johnson warming up, and he's still warming up. And you wondered if he was going to bring in Johnson to face Doug Mientkiewicz, but I think Tony La Russa stayed away from that because he wants Carpenter to face Reggie Sanders.
A little bit too low with the first pitch. Reggie able to check off in time. Sanders had a little bit of everything tonight. Hit by a pitch his first time up, he scored. Hit a 2-run homer his next time up. Was down on strikes in the 4th. Sanders' home run was his 5th of the season. Royals would like to have a long one right here and make it a 1-run ball game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reggie Sanders had a big double in the ball game yesterday afternoon in Cleveland. Picked up a couple RBIs. Maybe that's a sign that he's breaking out of a mini slump. Has always been a streaky hitter. The 1-1. Carpenter's made a pretty nice living tonight just out of the strike zone.
That's a tough pitch too, because when it comes in, that's a cut fastball. As it comes in, Reggie Sanders thinks it's right down the middle, but when he unloads his swing, the last minute just slides away from him, cuts away from him. And at that point, it's too late to stop the swing.
And really tough for a hitter to pick up the spin on that pitch. Looks like a fastball. The trajectory is the same as a fastball. And Reggie's down on the count here, a ball and 2 strikes. Cardinals play him slightly as a pull hitter. Very shallow in center field with Edmonds. This might be setting up for another one of those great catches. Look how shallow he is in center. That would not be very deep on a singles hitter. Real shallow on a guy who hits for power. The 1-2. The breaking ball. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Robert Sugg from Warwick, Missouri, our contestant in the Sonic Slam inning. Have 1 run home here in the 6th inning. Doubles for Shane Costa and Doug Mientkiewicz. Costa 2 for 4 at the plate. Mientkiewicz is 2 for 3. Carpenter would like to make it happen on this pitch, but he missed down and away. It's 3-2.
Here's why that cut fastball is so hard to hit. Now, Reggie, you have no time to react. The guy who throws as hard as Carpenter. Here it is right down the middle. Stop it right there. Okay, so that looks like it's going to come in about knee high down the middle. So Reggie starts his swing. Now watch the ball. Just missed the end of his bat. Doesn't break much, but it breaks just enough to get the hitter to swing, and by the time he swings, it's unhittable.
That is the pitch that Mariano Rivera has hung his entire career on over the last 3 or 4 seasons. A little cut fastball, effective on both the lefties and the righties.
And Rivera's is maybe the best in the game, and his actually breaks less than Carpenter's does. Carpenter's he can use as a swing and miss pitch. Rivera's is just designed to move a little bit on the bat. So you think you've got it centered on the barrel, but it moves just enough to be off the hands or just enough to be off the end of the bat. And that's usually what sinkers and cutters are for. They're not designed to swing and miss. They're just designed to change the point of contact.
3-2, got him swinging. So Carpenter strikes out the side, but gives up a run on 2 base hits. No money tonight in the Sonic Slam inning. Robert Sugg from Warwick, Missouri will get a couple tickets to a future Royals game and dinner for 2 at Sonic. And you can register for a shot at $25,000 at participating Greater Kansas City or at St. Joe's Sonic Drive. Warmest night of the year here in Kansas City. It was 89 degrees at game time, and that may have done it for Chris Carpenter, the Cardinals starter, as we check out our game summary brought to us by Kia Motors. Kia, the power to surprise. 6 innings in the book. The Royals at one time led 5-0. Now they trail at 9-6. Albert Pujols has hit his 20th of the year here tonight. Reggie Sanders has a 2-run shot for the Royals. Let's have some work to do to catch up in this one.
And Peralta has been in there since the 5th inning. He has allowed 3 of the 9 runs. Scott Rowland has been on base all 3 times. A walk in the 2nd inning, singled and scored in the 4th. And then against Peralta in the 5th, doubled, picking up his 21st RBI and then scoring for the 2nd time. Off speed from Peralta. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2. We were talking about Peralta the other night when we were broadcasting the game in Cleveland, and about how even though he's been pitching for a while now, that he still has some of those positional player tendencies, and that the biggest adjustment a guy who goes from position player to pitcher, what they have to work on the most is mechanics. And he gets rolling with a fastball up at 92 miles an hour. First strikeout for Peralta.
Well, if you've got the solid and consistent mechanics, you can make solid pitches. Probably missed his target right here. You see John Buck set up on the outside corner at the knees. Peralta, good velocity and good tailing action, really ties rolling up with the pitch. So didn't get it where the catcher called for it, but good results. He gets the first out of the inning.
The question I have for you, though, is when a guy is, quote, focusing on his mechanics, that could mean 1,000 different things. But for a guy who goes from position player to pitcher, is that maybe, as they say, repeating your delivery so that whether you're throwing a fastball, a breaking ball, or a changeup, that it's from the same arm slot and you're not tipping the hitter? On the ground to Baroa. And 2 outs in the 7th inning.
Whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, when you're in a ball game, you shouldn't be thinking about your mechanics. You should be far enough along with that process that the mechanics are in position. You're in shape with your mechanics. All you do is deliver pitches, you deliver a swing. The mechanics should already be taken care of. If you're thinking about your mechanics and worrying a lot about them, they ought to be second nature to you, to where they just happen for you and you go out and play the ball game. All that should be done in advance. Now, the mechanics break down or the delivery breaks down in the course of a ball game, you should be able to step out like a hitter steps out after taking a bad swing. Deep breath, collect yourself, maybe practice swing, get right back in. Pitcher, step off the mound, rub up the baseball, take a deep breath, kind of mentally go through your mind what your delivery should feel like. Get back up on top of the rubber. You should be able to correct it that quick. That's on a good night. On the bad night, you just fight it.
Jim Edmonds is 0 for 3. One of those outs against Peralta. Now, I know from a hitter's point of view, when you've got too much in your head, you're really handicapping yourself. There are 2 pitches from Peralta.
High 3/4 release point right there. Stays back on that back leg. Out a little bit early right there. See him fall off the mount. Body got ahead of his arm.
Into left center field and deep. Costa over from center into a slide, and he caught it. Costa gets a big round of applause from the big crowd here tonight, and then got a couple of claps of the hand from pitcher Joel Peralta. Royals down by 3 with 3 at-bats remaining as we take a look at tonight's Midwest Ford Dealers play of the game. And it just happened in the top of the 7th inning.
Had a chance to be a problem as this ball headed to the gap in left center field. Shane Costa, his first day back off the disabled list. Emil Brown closing in. Center fielder needs to take charge on that. It looks like Costa's calling it all the way. Emil Brown peels off. A little closer look. Well done by the center and left fielder.
And Joel Peralta joining in on the ovation for Shane Costa. Matt Stairs facing a new pitcher, left-hander Tyler Johnson. Stairs, after the first pitch, grounds out. He is 1 for 3 tonight. And that is the only man that Johnson is going to face. So Tony La Russa, who knows something about Matt Stairs, both with Oakland roots, was concerned about Stairs, so brings in the lefty for him. And now back to the bullpen for right-hander Adam Wainwright.
Tyler Johnson in the big leagues because of an injury to Juan Rincon, who's out for the year for the Cardinals. Effective here tonight. 9-6 St. Louis. Hey, Royals fans, always traveling and missing too many ball games? Watch Royals baseball live online wherever you're away from KC, exclusively from MLB.TV, Royals.com. Live games than anyone else. Royals.com, where baseball's always on.
Adam Wainwright into the game, and Cardinals are really excited about this guy's future.
They made a trade a couple years ago with the Atlanta Braves. J.D. Drew going from St. Louis to Atlanta, and Adam Wainwright was supposedly the plum of that trade. And they picked up some other players along the way, including Jason Marquis, who's in the starting rotation. But Wainwright, 24 years old. Supposed to have terrific stuff. 4 pitches, all of them well above major league average.
Falls behind Emil Brown, 3-0. Emil's single in the 5th inning snapped an 0 for 8. Cardinals really want to get a long look at Wainwright. He has been a starter in the minor leagues, and the Cardinals have to deal with 4 of their 5 starting pitchers becoming free agents at the end of the year. And they have a great rotation with some pretty impressive names, but the chances of bringing all of them back, including lefty Mark Mulder, the Royals are familiar with him from his days with the Oakland A's. Chances of bringing them all back probably slim. So Wainwright getting a taste in the big leagues, but might be a starter next year.
Last year at AAA went 10-10, had a 4.5 earned run average. 182 innings pitched at 147 strikeouts.
Raffanino upset at himself. He didn't mean to go around.
How about the size of their starters? Chris Carpenter, the starter tonight, is at 6'6". You mentioned Mark Mulder, the former Oakland A. He's 6'6". So is Wainwright. Wainwright's 6'7". There's Mulder.
just really seems to be the trend these days. Scouts out looking for a pitcher. Now seems first thing they look at is size. I mean, arm is important and what it says on the radar gun, but even over ability to pitch is they look at the potential of a guy who might be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6".
They say his curveball's really good. We might get it here. Yep, there it is.
Spins it on the ground to Pujols. Graffinino is out. Brown moves up to second base. And 2 away.
Talk about a real good curveball being a 12-6 curveball. Well, if you're looking at the dial of a clock, 12 o'clock is the top, 6 o'clock is the bottom. That would be your 12-6 curveball. Pretty much straight down. In the old days, they used to call that the shoe top drop. Like you roll it off the edge of the table and just drops down to your shoe tops.
Falls off the table.
There you go.
There's a throwback baseball term.
Today it's 12-6. Guess they didn't have clocks in those old days.
No, they didn't. Back then it was called a sundial curve. That's how they told time. And not only is it a throwback term, but it's a throwback pitch. It seemed like guys mostly are throwing slider these days over the old curveball. Baroa grounds out to second base. Royals strand a runner in the 7th inning. Down by 3, we head to the 8th. Not just those two teams, but those two states, Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Joe Nelson coming on for the 3rd time this year. This is his 2nd stint with the big league ball club. With the club in Major League Spring Training Camp.
Throws that Vulcan splitter that we were talking about in Cleveland. A split finger change that he wedges in between his ring finger and his middle finger.
I'm going to dig into some of my old rosters. There's been a couple other guys that have had the Vulcan split.
Danny Patterson, remember him? Pitched for the Tigers and the Rangers. Of all the ways to throw a changeup, circle change, palm ball,
Fosh ball,
split change like Chris Carpenter looked like he was throwing tonight. How in the world do you arrive at wedging the ball in between your middle finger and your ring finger? Taguchi on the Baroa error.
Baroa's going to pick up his 6th error of the season, another one on a routine play. Hop comes in a little bit higher than what he anticipated, goes off the heel of his glove, rolls off his arm out of the midsection.
And now the Royals are expecting a bunt as Yadier Molina digs in with a 167 batting average. Graffinino on the grass at 3rd. Molina not much of a hitter last year in his rookie season. He began the year 1 for 32, but the Cardinals think so highly of him behind the plate. They let Mike Matheny take off for free agency, and Matheny had some fantastic years with the Cardinals, won a couple of Gold Gloves. Every pitcher on the staff just loved throwing to him. Now they're going to go with a hit and run, and Minkiewicz in front of the Royals dugout makes the play. And Molina breaks his bat, slamming it into the dirt on his way back to the 3rd base dugout.
Well, they take off the bunt right here and let the hitter swing. Got a little jam shot. Joe Nelson knows with his first baseman going over into foul ground, his responsibility is first base. Minkiewicz makes the grab right in front of the railing, but base runner able to get back in time. That's Taguchi.
Just to finish the thought from the last half inning, and talking about Wainwright with that big 12-6 curveball. You don't see many curveballs like that these days. Seems like everyone goes with the slider over the curveball.
Well, the slider at one time, probably in the 50s and early 60s, was the pitch that was going to revolutionize the game. Even the great hitters like Ted Williams said, boy, that's the toughest pitch to hit. I can't pick up the spin. And the slider a little bit easier to throw for strikes. Sometimes it's easier to get the call from umpires. So the curveball's kind of taken a back seat to the slider. You remember Ted Williams saying that was the toughest pitch in baseball, don't you?
In fact, I remember exactly where I was when he said that.
Really?
Yeah, it was one of those moments in life, where you just remember what you were wearing and where you were.
What were you, about 3?
3.5.
Nelson trying to put a little extra on that fastball. Dropped down. His arm slot got a little low as he tried to muscle a little bit. That's why the ball took off and went high on him to keep his arm up in that good release point, a high 3/4 release point for him.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Nelson has appeared in the big leagues before reaching the big league level with the Royals this year. He spent a few games with the Braves in 2001, also 2004. Pitched in the big leagues, but very short periods of time. Ground ball is going to get through on the right side, and Taguchi is going to hold at second base. So runners first and second, 1 out for the top of the order. Well, everyone's talking about the last T-Shirt Tuesday featuring the Hot Dog Derby Racers. Don't be left out for the next T-Shirt Tuesday. That's coming up June 20th. The first 20,000 fans will receive this Jeremy Outfeld jersey shirt, courtesy of Sprint. Man, be careful saying that. June the 20th against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And by the way, that lovely young lady was Dina Wathen, daughter of former Royals player, coach, manager, scout, broadcaster, John Wathen.
She's worn a couple hats in the organization already. She's gone from intern to full-time employee.
That's right. To RSTN model. Hit right at Shane Costa. You could see Costa continuing to work on his footwork in center field. And remember, he's not a natural center fielder, but as that ball was hit to him, and again, it's a line drive hit right to center field. Watch how many times he shifts in center field. Shifts one way, shifts the other way.
If you think the ball is going to your left, do you drop step with your left foot to start to get in position to break back on it?
Absolutely. The first step should always be back, and just one step. Doesn't mean you have to haul 3 or 4 steps back, but just put yourself in a position where you can go back. And now Scott Spezio, and as Split was telling us earlier in the game, Tony La Russa really likes to pick one utility guy for an interleague series, and he picked the right guy tonight. Spezio with 3 hits. Spezio's dad played for the St. Louis Cardinals. Played on a couple of world championship teams. Ed Spezio, and he wore number 26. So a big thrill for Scott to play for the same organization his father did and wear the same number. Scott never got a chance to watch his father play firsthand. His dad retired the same year Scott was born. But how about this? Red Shandies, who I think was managing the Cardinals when Ed Spezio was playing. He still goes to spring training as a guest instructor with the Cardinals these days, and Scott got a chance to hook up with him this year.
He's still in uniform over in St. Louis. We'll probably see him when we get in over there just before the 4th of July, and he's out there, even at his age, hitting ground balls and infield practice. He sits in the radio or the television booth during the course of the ball game. He keeps in touch with this ball club day in and day out.
Boy, he just missed the outside corner, and now he just misses the inside corner, and not getting the calls from home plate umpire Sam Holbrook.
Well, they talk about pitchers working both sides of the plate. A little fading action right there. Split finger pitch and fading action the other side.
Well, we have a delay as a brain surgeon has decided to run onto the field in left field. The only part we'll tell you about is that he decided to jump on the field right near the Royals ball boy, and the Royals ball boy was going to have none of that. He didn't wait for the police to get there, and it was going to take a little while. The police were right on top of it, but the Royals ball boy chased the guy down from behind and dragged him down to the grass, and now you can see the police officers escorting that gentleman off the field, and tomorrow morning he's going to wake up and probably reevaluate his decision. Maybe the barber will be in at the county jail tonight. Well, the Royals ball boy, I mean, he was right on that guy before he was able to get onto the field and make a big spectacle of himself. How about that?
Pretty good job of wrestling. Took him down in no time.
I don't know about you, Split, but if I was going to run on the field, I'd probably strip down to my boxers and have a mohawk too. I mean, nothing says genius like that. And with the runners going, Spezio takes high. So that's a tough walk for Nelson, because I think he and John Buck felt like they had Spezio struck out a couple of times. But what makes it even more tough is that it loads the bases for Albert Pujols.
The Cardinals in a position right now to blow this ball game wide open. Pujols bounced to short his first time up in a 1-2-3 top of the first inning, but the next time up he had a man on base with nobody out and just hammered one to straightaway center field.
Home runs, 50 RBIs for Pujols, and the Cardinals have played exactly 25% of their games. Boy, he had a good rip there.
Now you talk about the percentages and what that would work out to. He has averaged his first 5 years in the big leagues 124 RBIs per season. There are your base runners. Taguchi on at third base, Luna at second, both run well. Spezio on over at first.
Nelson coming up and in and jumps ahead 1-2. So Pujols continues this pace. He'll hit 80 home runs this year and have 200 RBIs. You got to win some sort of award for that.
Well, he's already won an award. He was the Player of the Month in the month of April in the National League. Player of the Week in the National League last week.
And that was that Vulcan splitter that just scored it out of Nelson's hand.
Trying to get it down and away. Threw it a little bit, it slips out.
Got in on his hands. Raffanino the short way to second base. Cardinals leave the bases loaded. Royals coming up in the bottom of the 8th, down by 3. Adam Wainwright on for his second inning. John Buck after the first pitch, and Scott Rowland with his 6 gold gloves handles that short hop. And John Buck is 1 for 4. Big crowd here tonight. Into the low 90s today in Kansas City. It was 89 at first pitch. Another big crowd expected tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Denny Batista will pitch for the Royals against Anthony Reyes. And the final game of the series is at 1 p.m. Sunday. Shane Costa 2 hits in his return from the disabled list. Struck out in his first 2 at-bats against Chris Carpenter, but then making an adjustment against Carpenter in the 4th inning, singled, and then in the 6th against Carpenter, doubled and scored a run. He has hit in 8 straight games. And there's Wainwright's big curveball over the top, and Costa down on strikes. First strikeout for Wainwright, and 2 quick outs in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Curveball is a beauty. You still have to find out whether you can throw it for a strike, keep it in the strike zone, but it'll be tough for hitters to lay off of that one.
That shot right there illustrates another thing that the Cardinals love about Wainwright. He gets the ball back from the catcher, and he is ready to pitch. Doesn't walk around the mound.
Acts like he knows what he's doing and what he wants to do.
Up the middle and picked off by Luna. Royals down quickly in the 8th inning. On to the 9th. Cardinals by 3. I don't think those guys are going to qualify for the dance-off. Here's Mike Wood as we go to the 9th inning.
Well, Mike Wood's been primarily a middle reliever all season long, but with the adjustments in the bullpen over the last few days, he's now going to work a little bit later into ball games as a setup man. Comes on for the 11th time this year. Got pretty solid numbers all the way across the board. Wood may be the most versatile of any of the Royals pitchers as far as how you can use him on your staff. Right now working his way a little bit closer to that closer's role.
Strike 1 to Scott Rowland. 2 hits, a walk for Rowland. He has scored twice. Split on the radio side Thursday. I had Bob McClure on as our guest, and we talked a lot about pitchers that bounce from role to role. And McClure was somebody who started, also pitched out of the bullpen. In fact, he pointed out to me during the interview that there were times when he pitched out of the bullpen in between starts. And I asked him straightforward, I said, you hear a lot today about pitchers saying, well, I don't really know my role. I mean, am I a starter? Am I a reliever? If I'm a reliever, am I a short reliever, long reliever? I don't really know what my role is. And I asked him, is that a legitimate complaint, or is that a cop-out? And he said right away, that's a cop-out. And I don't mention that because Mike Wood is on the mound, because if anything, Mike Wood has not complained at all about bouncing back and forth between the rotation and the bullpen, but his versatility, I think, sometimes has probably been a curse for him because the Royals have used him for just about everything.
Well, he also knows that he probably wouldn't make the ball club coming out of spring training if he couldn't relieve. You remember he was vying for one of the spots in the starting rotation. He said at that time his versatility played in his favor.
Another great catch by Costa, and it's because he had a great first step into left center field. So he misread a ball off of Encarnacion's bat in the 5th inning. This time he got a great read.
Ball hit hard enough where you got to get a great read and run a good route to the ball, or you're not going to get it. And with that dive, that ball's hit hard enough. If you don't make the play, it's going to go to the wall. After reading it into his glove right there, sliding. Notice how he keeps his hand off that ground so he doesn't collide with the ground that might knock that ball loose.
Minkevich right at the bag, and now he's going to tag out Roland. So a nice play in center field by Costa, and a nice play by Minkevich. So Adam Wainwright stays in the game. He got 2 outs in the 7th, all 3 outs in the 8th, and in a save situation, Tony La Russa stays with Wainwright rather than go with his closer Jason Isringhausen. Hit on the ground, and a great play by Pujols, and throws out Minkevich. Pujols has made a great play to his right. That was very early in the game in the 1st, and now to his left in the 9th.
Playing well off that line at first base, so he has to range far to his left. The head first dive, taking extra bases away from Minkevich. Heads up play by Wainwright. A lot of times you think that ball's going to go through and up the right field line, and you might hesitate thinking I got to go back up third base, but Wainwright following the ball to his left. Good play both ways, but spectacular glove work by Pujols at first.
Reggie Sanders takes ball 1.
One of the real strengths of Tony La Russa is the way he mixes and matches his people in the bullpen into the late innings. If he can get the innings out of his starters, which he usually does because wherever he's been, they've always had a pretty good starting rotation. He's got a deep bullpen. They're usually talented guys, and he loves to work the matchups. We saw it earlier in the game when Tyler Johnson came in to face just one hitter, and Matt Stairs. Then he came with Wainwright. Goes with Wainwright right here, probably because of the 3-point bulge that the Cardinals enjoy. Save Isringhausen for another day.
Into shallow right, Luna goes out. Makes the catch on Reggie Sanders. Shane Costa made a nice play to end the 8th inning, or top of the 9th inning. Now early in the game, first of all, let's look at the play he made on Encarnacion. See how he goes back first and then across, making a sliding catch. And then in the 5th inning earlier, watch how Costa comes in first. See how his first step was in, and then he tried to adjust back, and the ball sailed over his head. So Costa's had a week worth of action on the field today because in his first 2 at-bats he struck out, made an adjustment against Chris Carpenter, ended up with 2 hits, and he's made a couple of adjustments in the outfield tonight. And there's the curveball and a much easier play for Pujols. He goes to the bag, and the Cardinals come back from a 5-0 deficit and take game 1 of the I-70 series 9-6. Well, the Cardinals showing why they have the best record in the National League, beating the Royals tonight 9-6, but split. Really looked like the Royals might be able to take game 1 tonight after jumping out to that early 5-0 lead.
When you can put up the kind of runs they did in the offense they did against a former Cy Young Award winner, Chris Carpenter, you really like to find a way to win that ball game. Royals scored 3 in the 2nd, 2 more in the 3rd, did a super job against him. He hung in well and hung around long enough to pick up a win tonight, but I think the St. Louis Cardinals showed a lot about what they're about. The veteran players, you mentioned it earlier, they didn't panic when they were down 5-0. They knew there was a lot of baseball left.
Game 2 tomorrow. 6:10 game will be on the air at 6 o'clock. Denny Batista will make the start for the Royals. Anthony Reyes pitches for the St. Louis Cardinals. That'll do it from Kauffman Stadium. For Director John Dennison, producer Kevin Shank, this is Ryan Lefevre for Paul Splittorff. Thanks for watching Royals baseball on RSTN, Royals Sports Television Network.